And here we are back again. Thought I'd plop a really nice RPM under the scope and let you take a look at it. This is 1956D. It's FS501, RPM number 1. It's just about the strongest wheat cent RPM there is. This one's graded NGCMS 66 red. It's one of the nicest ones. And well, this one didn't come out of this roll, but it's a very nice RPM anyway. Morning, Tom. Some of the other stuff that we can find in this particular roll. Bunch of RPMs. Lots and lots of them. And let's see. Let's go back over to the website and take a quick look. Go to 1956 and Denver. And take a look. Got a number of doubled eyelids for 1956D. Some of them better than others. But we've got a plethora of them available. Then here's your RPM number 1. Nice, big, fat, beautiful RPM. And then as you go through, your RPMs stay pretty nice. Yeah, until you get up to, I don't know, probably, what, number 10, number 11, they start to get a little more minor. Here's a really nice one for you. This one's the one that's the cover photo for this particular show. You can see that D down below the D mint mark. On this coin, it's pretty obvious that it's there. Really nice looking D. Let's see. Also available, go all the way to the end. Now, this we still have it listed as an OMM, just so you can see that we have changed the listing to an RPM. But this is no longer listed as an OMM to us. This is RPM 12, 1mm 012. I'm sorry, 012. It's not as we thought. It is not an S, and even if it was, it's the wrong size for an S mint mark. This is part of the lower part of the D right down here, and then this is actually part of the upper stalk, the upper vertical bar of the D. How we figured out that this was a D and not an S? Well, I had an earlier die-state example come out of a reveal, believe it or not, and the reveal showed me that we were incorrect in assuming this was an S. However, this particular die, I still have this listed as an S mint mark because, well, that's what it definitely appears to be. Here's another example for you. You can see the what appears to be the lower curve of an S, but actually what is it? It's an inverted S. So this is the upper curve of an S, and then the lower curve comes down here. So you'd have to flip the picture upside down to see the S in proper orientation. There's another one, later die-state image. Larger image, easier to see. Nice markers. But that's what we have for 1956D. Let's go ahead and break into the roll and see what we get. This one is a plastic tubed roll that I purchased who knows where. It is an original roll. It does have toning on the end coins. It was in a bankroll. Someone removed it from the bankroll and put it in a tube. And our first coin goes to Jeff Dunn, who happens to be in-house. So Jeff, there's the toning on the reverse of your coin. Really nice looking toning. Let's stick it under the scope and see what we have. And it appears we have nothing on the mint mark. Nothing on the I. Nothing on Liberty. The reverses on 1956D are not known for double dies, so we're going to check the first 10 coins, then we're going to move a little faster with the remainder of the roll. What I'm looking for now is a marker that I can use going forward to identify this particular die. It's a later die state, and I'm not really seeing a whole lot. I'm seeing these couple of marks down here that can be placed. There's one down below the D, and then there's one over beside the D, right up against the vest. That could be a decent use marker to determine that another coin comes from the same die. It looks like there's a die crack in the hair, but that could also be a planchet flaw. Now, it's a die crack. It's a small one. It shows mostly right there. There's a little pearl of broken die material where the metal of the coin seeped up into that little crack. Just not much. And now take a look at the reverse. Got that nice toning. A few blotches. It's got nice toning on it though. A very nice color. Shows as being definitely a coin that sat at the end of the roll for a long time. On to coin number 2. Coin number 2 goes to Eric Beyer. And Eric's coin, one of these days we're going to hit it. Telling you, one of these days we're going to hit it. Looks like could be a minor RPM, but I'm not going to pull it out because it looks too minor to really do much with. If it even is one. And on the reverse, nothing. What does Eric's coin have for a marker that I can actually use to find additional examples? Actually, this has the same marker as the previous coin, so it's the same die. It's got that little pearl right there in the middle of the top of the head. A little tiny die chip, die crack. So there's that, coin number 2. Check the reverse real quick. A little die dent right at the very top of the left wheat. Right at the point. Right next to the point. Got nothing there. So let's hope this is not a harbinger of bad news. Hopefully we change our luck a little bit here soon. Here's Ted. Ted's coin. It's a different die entirely. And it has a little dent in the very bottom of the mint mark. It's not an RPM. And there is a old die scratch running through the bottom of the 5, so it's going to be a little bit easier to spot. Really nice cracked head. Huge die crack on the head. And let's see, what else do we have here? Nothing on this side. Let's flip it over and take a look at the reverse. This is machine doubling. Very classic machine doubling. Here's a good example of machine doubling, actually. Really nice example of how machine doubling takes up the normal size of the lettering. Look at the B. Look at the B right here. See how the doubling part actually makes up the normal shape of the B. Whereas if you look at the part that's standing up the most, you've got a lot of really thin spots. And that's just showing you where that machine doubling ate into the size of the lettering. Very indicative of machine doubling. This is exactly what machine doubling looks like. So this is Ted's coin. Why does the 9 look like it has 2 tails when you turn it a certain way? We're going back to coin number 2 to take a look at it again. See if I can see 2 tails on the 9. Okay, Randy, you'll have to describe to me what you're seeing because I don't. Are we talking about this? Because I don't see anything over here indicating 2 tails on a 9. I mean, I would even see something that looks like it could be mistaken as such. In fact, it's very thin. Like through the tip. So you're talking about this area right up here. Or is it just down here? What tip? The upper tip or the lower tip? Okay, this. This is something that shows on a large number of the late 1950s wheat cents. Mostly 1956. And it is a part of the base of the letter, the base of the digit, as it was carved into the original design. So that's actually part of the design of the coin that wasn't necessarily intended to stand out like that, but it does anyway. But that's not doubling of any kind. Okay. Yeah, I guess when you turn it a certain way, it does almost look like another tail for a 9, but it isn't. All right, number 4. Oops. Number 4 to Deanne. Oh, nice RPM. Boom. Run into a pretty one. Oh, nothing to be sorry about, Randy. Nothing to be sorry about at all. You had a question, you asked it. That's what we're supposed to do here. Takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of time. That's no big deal. Beautiful RPM here. This one goes to Deanne. This one has a number of little die scratches running around the 1 of the date. So we'll know that die next time we see it. Looks like we've got nothing else on the obverse. Let's take a look at the reverse real quick. See what we see there. Nothing going on there. Nice little RPM. So that's going to be die number 1 for the roll. That one belongs to Deanne. Now coin number 5 goes to Sissy. Coin number 5 here. And what do we have on coin number 5? Coin number 5 is going to be the same die as coin number 3. No RPM, no double die. Same die as number 3. It's got the nice die crack on the head. And that's about that for that. You got a bad connection. One thing that might help you out if you have a bad connection is to exit and re-enter somewhat frequently. It helps keep your bandwidth up. For some reason, it's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like long distance running. The longer you try to run the show, the more energy it takes to keep it up at the speed. But if you exit and come back in, you refresh your energy. It's kind of how it seems to work anyway. Okay, we have a different die here, but this one is no more an RPM than the previous. We have a die scratch coming up off the 9, the top of the 9. This coin is from Malcolm. That's coin number 6. Now coin number 7. Doug Dosmus. Another RPM. Another nice one. This one is not the same die that Deanne got earlier. This one is a different die. The one Deanne got had a nice split on the upper and the lower. This one appears to have a split on the lower. Plus, it appears to almost have a second split. But that, I believe, is just a dent. It's a hit or a dent of some sort, or a little blob of extra metal in the corner of the mint mark punch itself. So that when these dies were punched, they had that little extra bit going on. I'm going to blow this up. Yeah. Definitely just an extra little bit of something, but it's not another split in the mint mark. If you look here, this is what I'm talking about. This little guy right here, that is not a serif split. But if you look up here, you can see this little dent in the mint mark that is repeated over here. This is actually RPM. This is actually a split in the serif. But this right here is repeated, showing that whatever this is, it's on the punch itself, because the punch was used twice. Very nice indication that you have something going on with the punch. It's damage to the punch. So definitely an RPM, and a pretty nice one. It looks almost like some of the RPMs that we have found in the last 6 months to a year. So it could be the same die as something higher up in the numbers. Let's see, this one has a few nice north and south die scratches, really old ones, north and south die scratches. Plus it has, looks like a little island in the middle of the 6. Little raised area right in the middle of the 6. And it's really difficult to get this lighting just right. There, let's see if that's any better. Nope, that's not going to be better. This, I think, will be better. Yeah. I see from this angle right here, it looks like a tripled lower serif, but it's not. And finish this side off. Take a look at the reverse real quick. We're on coin number 7. We're going to go up to coin number 10, checking the reverses, just to see if we can accidentally find us a double die. It would be the first 1956 D double die reverse known, but we don't have one here. And we move on to coin number 8. 2 different RPMs so far. Not bad to have 2 different RPMs in the roll so far. Okay, this one is a different die, but it is not an RPM. This one's got a die scratch popping straight up north out of the 9. Haven't seen this yet. Oh, that one's a doubled eyelid. Has a little pickle mark out in front of the nose. That is on the die itself. That is a dent on the die itself. We have a really nice little doubled eyelid going on here. So now we have 2 RPMs plus an eyelid out of this roll. So we're doing okay. I mean, it's minor stuff, but it's there. So we can remember the die scratches straight north and south through the 1/9 of the date to get a bearing on this particular die. Let's check the reverse real quick and see if we have anything on the reverse about which we must speak. Oh, very nice. See, it's not very common that you see these sharp little holes in the die that make such really nice markers. But that's going to be a good marker for this die. Really good one. So that's definitely a doubled eyelid. Now it's a matter of figuring out which one of the more than 2 dozen we have listed this one happens to be. Now Adam Connor. Oh, gets a doubled eyelid. We know it's a doubled eyelid because of that. And we look here. We got the pickle on the nose. And we have the actual doubled eyelid. So it's going to be a repeat of the last die. This one has a little bit of Larry going on. It's got some browning on it. Not good. But it is a double die obverse. It is not a double die reverse. It's a little bit of a marked up coin though. But there's your heavy mark under the N. So that's definitely going to be the same die as the previous coin. So this is coin number 9. Adam Connor matches coin number 8. Now coin number 10. Doug Reese. And Mr. Reese gets, it looks like a normal coin so far. I always get a little excited when I see the shallow 9. The shallow 9 being a 9 that doesn't stand up very much. It's because a few of the really nice dies, double dies, I mean a few of the really nice RPMs have that. Here's another doubled eyelid. This is a different die altogether. So we have a different doubled eyelid. And this has a shallow date. The 9, 5, and 6 look kind of shallow on this. Has east and west die scratches running through the date area. Let's see, east and west around the face. Basically through the entire obverse it has east and west die scratches. So that makes this one a little bit easier to determine. There's your eyelid again. Doubled eyelid for another time. Concentric die scratches on the reverse. Looks like big swirl die scratches that, yeah, just right down there anyway. Does not have the big pickle next to the N, but it does have one below this N. It's a lot smaller. It's there nonetheless. Picking up markers. It's one of the most important things to be able to learn and do when you're doing die variety hunting, because markers are something that help you determine whether or not your coin matches another coin by photograph. This is another one of the exact same thing. This die crack, or no, it's actually a scratch. This little die gouge at the bottom of the vest down there. That's going to really help us determine this particular die, which is a doubled eyelid. The eyelid goes right through a gouge. So there's an eyelid plus a gouge there. This is the doubled eyelid. And this part right here is a little die gouge. So we have the same die again as the previous coin. So this will be coin number 11. It's going to be a really busy roll. We've got a lot of stuff in here. We're at better than 50% right now, pulling die varieties out of this roll. Better than 50%. Coin number 12 goes to Yo Man. And Yo Man gets This one could be a minor lower split serif RPM. We'll have to check this one. I'll pop it out of the roll and check it. It looks like it could be one of those damaged McMark punch issues. I think it is, actually. Yeah, that's just a damaged McMark punch. I think we have a couple of coins listed as RPMs that just have that. We may end up having to remove those. Yo man, it's the part that stands out the best in the little dish that makes up the eye socket area. The front of it will stick out better than the back of it. So the back of it will only stick out when it's more doubled or more heavily doubled. Also, when you polish a die and you're dealing with an area that's a hump on the die, it's going to polish away on the side of the leading edge of the little brush instrument, which is going to be the center of the die because they usually polish going toward the outside. This is another one of our RPM 1 for the roll. RPM 1 for the roll. It's got all the die scratches around the 1, and it should have a die crack on the head, and it does. Very nice. That's for Sissy. RPM 1 for the roll. Coin number 14. Mr. Birchman. And this one appears to be, it is a doubled eyelid. You can see that little scratch down there on the very front corner of the vest is going to turn this into the same die that we've seen before as a doubled eyelid, and there it is right there. You see, the question Yo Man asks is, how is it that just that one little portion of the eyelid is doubled? Well, if you go up and you look at the actual eyelid, this part right here has the highest relief, and then the relief goes down as you go back. And so this part would require that it be much more heavily punched or much more heavily hubbed into the die to be able to show up. But also, we have the lowest portion of this area right here. This whole nose cavity area, the eye socket part, the lowest part of that is right here. So that's what's going to show the best in doubling is your lowest relief areas, the areas that are closest to the field in how far out it stands from the center of the coin. Whereas doubling higher up, especially like up on the cheek, is one of the highest relief areas. You would have to have a very deep hubbing to show any doubling on or near the cheek. So because this is such a low relief area, doubling shows very well there. And this is also the highest relief part of the eyelid. I didn't explain it very well before, but when you actually see it and dissect it and think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, that one's Mr. Birchman. Coin number 14. It's our third example of that particular die. Now coin number 15, Mr. Reese. What do we have for Mr. Reese? It looks like this one's going to turn out to be another of the doubled eyelid right there. It's another of that same die we just looked at. You can always tell that die in this particular roll because of that little die scratch. It's actually not a crack, it's a scratch right here. It's like a little die gouge. So this one's going to Mr. Reese, and I am looking at the reverses on these as I'm pulling them off the scope for anything major. If I see anything major, we'll turn right around and put it right back up on the scope. But just to save us a little bit of the effort of looking at normal stuff, there's another one. I'm not showing the reverses during the show unless needed. Another one of them. Very cool, Dennis. I haven't found very many of those in my past. I've found more of them circulated than uncirculated. Wheat bags or mixed wheat rolls or whatnot. I think I've only found maybe half a dozen of them uncirculated over all the years I've been doing this. Okay, here we finally have what's going to turn out to be a normal coin. Not that I'm hoping for that or anything. It's just that it is going to happen. Normal coins are valuable too. Let's not leave their feelings out. Now number 18, Thomas. This one's going to be another one of the doubled eyelids. You can see our little gouge at the bottom of the vest. And look up here, and we've got our doubled eyelid along with a nice big hit right on the eyebrow. That's right, all coins matter. I'm not saying you have no value. You just have a different kind of value than what we happen to be looking for right now. Ted Evans. See what we have for Ted. Well, it's not one of the doubled eyelids that we've been looking at. It's one of those damaged mint mark punches. Lower area of the punch. We may end up having to do a little bit of restudy on 1956D, and there is some chance that we may have to remove at least one, maybe more, of the listed RPMs because of a damaged lower area of the mint mark punch. How do we know this? Well, if you're looking over and over and over again at the same type of stuff coming off or coming out of rolls, and you're seeing the same thing repeated over and over again from one die to the next, and it's getting very difficult to ascertain what comes from one die, what comes from a different die, simply because, well, they look almost identical to one another. You start picking up more different dies of the exact same stuff. It makes you want to look a little harder. When I look a little harder at it, we notice there really is no extra thickness to the mint mark on those particular examples. It's another one of our first, no, this is a second one. A second doubled eyelid again. The first one's got the die scratch going straight up out of the 9. So this is another example of our second doubled eyelid. And we know that because of that little gouge at the bottom of the vest. When you start seeing the same stuff repeated over and over again, from one die to the next, to the next, to the next, then you take a really good look, a really good hard look at what you've got. Well, a lot of times what we turn out with is going to end up being damage. We know this because the overall width of the mint mark does not change. So right here, you can see this little tiny mark right here on the corner of the mint mark, but nothing else has changed about the size or shape or anything about the rest of the mint mark. The rest of the mint mark looks completely normal, but then you got this little tiny thing in the corner. Even with split serif 1960D RPMs, you're going to have a little more width here, or a little more width here, or maybe a split on the top and the bottom. This has nothing. It just has one little pickle mark at the bottom of the mint mark, not an RPM. And so while it appears there could be some doubling going on, it turns out that, well, it really isn't doubling at all. So we're going to have to go back and do a restudy of the 1956D RPMs that have been listed in the last 6 months to a year, and see if there's any chance that we might have listed some of this damaged punch as RPMs. We definitely want as much accuracy as we can, and we're human too. We make mistakes. There's another one. maybe the same die again, but you see that little pickle mark right down there in the very bottom. It's a little dent in the bottom of the mint mark. You've got a little mark plus the little dent. We saw it on an RPM earlier how this little mark right up here, how this little tiny dent on the top of the relief was doubled on the other coin, or on the other, not the other coin, on the other part of the mint mark. So that turns into being a very obvious sign that you have damage on the punch. Sometimes things like this only reveal themselves to you after you do a number of different coins and do a number of different rolls. You get some experience at it, and you start looking through this stuff. You start eventually seeing, oh, wait a minute, this probably isn't what we thought it was to begin with. You know what? It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. You have to be right at some point about it, but it's okay to initially be wrong. Everyone is wrong at some point or another, including me. Definitely including me, especially me. But when we figure out what we've done wrong, we work to correct it. That makes us good humans. 1979, that's correct. 1979D has what looks like a split in the lower serif on almost all of them. See, there's another one. Got the little dent in the very bottom of the D down there. It's a little tiny thing, but it looks like it in some die states, it looks like it could be a split serif, but I don't think it is. That 79D is a monster showing up a lot of times. People send pictures of those. Hey, I've got the 79D RPM. Really? Is it a split lower serif? Oh, yeah, it is. Have you seen one? Yep, I've seen tons of them. And it's not what you think it is. These are not the droids you're looking for. Move along. Oh, well, that's exactly what they are, Dennis. They're either broken or damaged. One or the other. I think for the 56D, I think they're just damage. Just a little spot. Something hit the mint mark punch. It created a little dent in the mint mark punch. There's another doubled eyelid. This is another one of the first doubled eyelid from the roll. Does not have the mark on the vest, but it does have die scratches straight up out of the 9 and the 1. And we look up here and we see that there is a doubled eyelid. Nice little doubled eyelid. Yeah, your 79s can go in the reject box. They are not RPMs. There's one known RPM for 1979D, and it actually is an East RPM. They're actually very difficult to find, but you're going to find a curve to the east of the normal mint mark. Carl gets coin number 28. Coin number 28 to Carl. And we have, it's going to turn out to be another normal coin. Now number 29, Mr. McBride. Another normal one. It's normal, it's normal. I tell you, it's normal. I'd like to go to a fair. That'd be really cool. I remember going to the fair years back. It was the Ozark Empire Fair. It's in Springfield, Missouri. It was my favorite little fair to go to. I used to take my son there and we'd ride the Ferris wheel. There we go. Another one of the doubled eyelids. This is one of the first doubled eyelids. Slightly different die state because we have more die scratches here. We've got these die scratches angled back up toward the chin that we didn't have on the other coin. But the Ozark Empire Fair was always a nice, fun fair to go to. Had a great time there. Just see things you don't generally get to see. You know, like pig races and stuff like that. That was really fun. If you're really feeling kind of ballsy, you could go on a, there's another one of them. Really feeling ballsy, you could go on a helicopter ride. Yeah, I'm not sure how safe those helicopters really are, but at that. Or you could watch the person doing a butter carving. I remember that too. Do I think I've looked at 1 billion cents yet? No, probably not. I've probably seen 1 billion cents, but I don't think I've looked through that many. All right. Another normal one. That one's for Lucy. Yeah, 1 billion cents would be quite a lot. I may have actually stuck under the microscope to get a good close look at maybe 400, 500,000. Another one of our first doubled eyelid there. So we went from the first doubled eyelid to the second doubled eyelid. Now we're back to the first doubled eyelid. Seems like they're coming in waves. Yeah, 1 billion is a lot of coins. Whole lot of coins. Whole mess of them. Oh, what do we have here? Back to the RPM. This looks like RPM 2 for the rolls. What it looks like this is. Now see, with the damage mint mark punch, or with the little hit on the mint mark punch, ooh, there's a nice little die crack down there. Something I haven't really observed yet. But with that damage mint mark punch, okay, what you saw was a normal mint mark with a little dent in the bottom of the mint mark. Now what you see here is actual extra thickness on the mint mark. So right here, see how big and round this area is? That's definitely doubling going on there because this is not pointed as it should be. And then you have a little bit of extra thickness from shadow to shadow. You've got a little extra thickness here, so this is extra thick. So that compensates for the extra width that you're seeing on the split. Definitely an RPM. Not a great one, but it's an RPM. Take what we can get. I'm very happy about what we do get. I'm very focused. The other thing is, though, anymore, I'm generally so busy doing invoicing, mail, all kinds of other stuff. Here's our second doubled eyelid again. I'm so busy going through inventory or buying rolls or searching for something else to get, working on code, working on something. I don't really look through that many coins anymore. I used to look through a bunch of them. I just don't anymore. So these reveals are pretty much the only chance I ever get to go through rolls. There's another one of the doubled eyelids. That's the second doubled eyelid again. There. That one's for Sissy. Now number 37. Number 37 is Doug Reese. See what Doug gets. One of our first doubled eyelids again. And there is that. Especially with that damage on the die right out in front of the nose. You see how you have a little bit of a raised area, but then it's sunken in around the raised area? It's kind of like the opposite of a crater. Well, that is exactly what it is. It's the opposite of a crater. Basically, you've got damage on the die. The damage on the die is sunken into the die right here. But then when you push metal down, you're going to have a splash, an outward splash. and there's your outward splash on the die, which is raised. So when it's raised and it strikes a coin, it's sunken in on the coin. So it's actually basically just the exact opposite, right? Exact opposite of a crater. That's how you could tell it's die damage. If it were anything else, it wouldn't be raised like that. So there's that. That's, again, our first doubled eyelid for the roll. Got a number of these now. That's coin number 37. Now coin number 38 goes to Yo Man. Yo Man. I always think of the Village People when I say his name. Yo Man. All right, there's another one of our RPMs. This is an RPM number 2 for the roll. Second RPM for the roll. Good morning, Time Travelers Coin Exchange. I don't blame you. I got to have my go juice before I can do a whole lot. I'm not very human before my go juice. And we have a nobody here. It happens to be a normal coin. I guess we are going to have a normal coin once out of every 10 or 15. This particular roll is loaded with die varieties, which is exactly what I'm looking for. In fact, I'm believing that we're running over 50%. That would make it an unusual roll to have more than 50% die varieties in a roll. This is another one of our second doubled eyelid. It's a little bit bright. Let's knock the brightness down just a little bit. There we go. How about that? You can see that little dust scratch on the bottom of the vest. I'm not sure that I drink coffee. I gulp it too. I know what you mean, Yo Man. I get it. But yes, I drink my coffee, and I think I drink your share too. So you don't ever have to worry about your share going bad because I'm pretty sure I use it. There's one for Deanne. It's a quality of life thing. So my doctor says you should consider dropping the coffee. I said, yeah, if I drop the coffee, I drop my life. I'll keep the coffee. Thank you. Another one of the first doubled eyelids. We have a large stack of varieties forming here. We've only got 4 different dies that we're looking at. Well, we've got plenty of them. A little bit of a damaged mint mark punch. And nothing else really on this one. Another normal coin. After this, I'm going to have to go for a couple of hours so I can get more mail finished. I've got packages ready to be boxed. And get that done and get that out front. Hey, there's another one of the first RPM for the roll. This is an exciting one that got us started. It's got doubled upper and lower serifs. You could even tell without being able to see the split in the upper serif. You can see the shadow shows that there's extra shape up here. That extra shape forms extra thickness. That extra thickness means, hey, we have an RPM. So that's for Stonecutter, Mr. Dowdle. You like the way coffee smells, but you don't like the way it tastes. Yeah, I know. I've been there. Sometimes coffee doesn't taste good. I just put more sugar in it. Tastes better that way. I know, for the most part, I've been able to give up sugar completely. For the most part. That was for Doug Dosmus. That was one of the first RPMs. First doubled eyelid for the roll. There's Malcolm. Now, Malcolm, he's going to get one of those too. That's going to be another doubled eyelid. That's for Malcolm. Nice, nice. We're going to finish off with nothing but die varieties. Here's Jim Fletcher. What does Jim get? First eyelid. Big stack of eyelids. Yeah, baby! With this particular roll, it's going to be easier to tell you the coins that were normal than it will be to tell you the coins that are die varieties. It's a very unusual thing, but it does happen once in a while. This one's going to be a normal one. This was the same as the second coin I pulled out of the entire roll. I've seen probably 4 or 5 of these. Very late die state, big die crack running across the head. Nothing with the mint mark, no doubling. There's another one of the first doubled eyelids. And this one's going to go to Mr. Chambers. $49. 2 coins left. Hey, what do you know? We've got an extra coin. Huh. We ended up with 51 coins in this roll. I'll tell you what I'm going to do with it. It's going to go to Lucy because Lucy's coin did not belong in this roll. It didn't appear. Now I know why. There's another one of the first eyelids. Lucy's coin did not look like the other dies, and it had just a little bit of browning on it, so I'm going to give it to Lucy. So she'll get the last coin in the roll. Here's coin number 50 for Carl. Nice looking BU coin there. And it's going to be another RPM 1 for the roll. RPM 1 for the roll. 1 for the money, 2 for the show. And this one will be Lucy's second coin because, well, it's going to be a roll ender. It's going to have toning on it. It is... I can't tell exactly by that appearance. It is one of the doubled eyelids. It's a second doubled eyelid for the roll. So this does have the little die crack, or die scratch down on the bottom of the vest. You just can't see it through the toning. This is a really nice toning. It's going to go to Lucy because Lucy got a coin that was not pretty earlier on in the roll. I'm going to stick this in her flip and send it to her. But I tell you what, folks, we have turned up a beautiful roll here. Nice die varieties throughout. Eric, the coin with the toning, has the doubled eyelid. There's 2 coins in this one, and the last one I put in, the one with the toning, has the doubled eyelid. And here are our normal coins for this roll. I'll just count them. $19 normal coins, which means we have 31 die varieties in here. This is our second doubled eyelid. This is our first doubled eyelid. This is our second RPM. 3 of them. Our first RPM. 4 of them. A total of 31 die varieties in this roll. 31 die varieties and 19 normal coins. That, boys and girls, is all I've got for this roll. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm going to take a couple of hours break to finish up some more mail. And when do I have the next... Somebody tell me when I have the next show scheduled for. Let's see. I know it's scheduled. I just don't know exactly when for. When for, why for. We're on 309 right now. 310 is scheduled for 4 p.m. So I'm going to take a few hours out and get the invoices finished up, get the mail finished up for the day. And we'll be back at 4 p.m. Eastern Time with number 310. It's going to be a 68S roll. It's another one of those. You're either going to find something or you're not. It's not a in-between. It's a either really good or a really nothing. So I'll see you guys at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great afternoon. If I don't see you, have a great rest of your day.